With that side hustle, I was making upwards of £1,000 a week whilst I was at university. Yes, you heard me right, £1,000 a week. And here's how. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are all doing well. Today's video is all about my career journey. I'm going to walk you through all of my job history and work experience, and hopefully it will give you an insight into how I was able to work on my own business full-time at 21. I'm going to be walking you through side hustle to working in law firms, how I ended up getting my dream job offer at the end of my undergrad degree and turning it down to go full-time into running my own company. So hopefully this video will give you some insight into my journey and also give you ideas of what you can do no matter what career path you're trying to go down. But first, if you do not know who I am, I think it's only right that I introduce myself. My name is Courtney Daniella, born and raised North London girl. I am a 23-year-old beauty entrepreneur and content creator here on YouTube, and I have been doing this for the last 2 years since I graduated from the University of Cambridge. I studied a politics and social sciences degree, so I'm not doing anything related to what it is I studied, but it took me a while to go down this unconventional route. So hopefully this video gives you insight and helps you figure out what it is that you want to do with your career soon. So my journey really starts when I was 13 years old. When I was younger, in early pre-teens, my mum decided to go back to university to get a nursing degree, and so it meant that I spent a lot of time being taken care of by childminders, but particularly my family members, specifically my aunt. And my auntie is actually a hairdresser. She has been a hairdresser for over 25 years now, which is crazy. But ever since I could remember, she would be doing roller sets in our living room or braiding hair in corridors. My auntie would always tell me to learn how to do hair, and I used to wonder why, because I never expressed such an interest. But she always said knowing how to do a skill with your hands will always come in handy no matter what stage you are in life and no matter what the economy is like. I think as somebody who worked in a service industry, she understood that working for yourself can be really invaluable, but also being able to provide something that people will always need is really the open door to always having money. So she was really spitting some wisdom, but I, being the stubborn teenager that I was, definitely didn't take her advice, and I hesitated so much on learning how to do hair. Even though I was in the perfect environment, I didn't really want to take it up. That was until I turned 13 and decided that I was in need of some serious cash. Now, for about a few months, I was doing my own hair, making my own U-part wigs, braiding my own hair, just because there were some styles that I wanted that my auntie would not do. You know those auntie situations where you go, you get a relaxer, you think you're gonna be looking like the girls on the box, and your auntie like gives you the Cat Williams bump, or you'll be looking like Al Sharpton. I didn't want that anymore. Love you, auntie. Thank you for doing my hair for free for so many years, but your girl was not looking age appropriate. So I decided to learn how to do my own hair, and it really started with me practicing on myself. But when I went to school and when I was around my area, a lot of people would ask me, who did your hair? How did you get your hair like that? And when I told them it was me who did it, the question that always follows is, could you do my hair? And my answer was always no. I was focusing on my studies at the time, but when I turned 13, 14 years old, I needed money. I needed some extra cash in my pocket. That's when all the house parties are popping. You need a new outfit, you want some new hair, you need new makeup, or you just want to go out after school and chill with your friend, and that takes some extra coin that my parents were not willing to give me. They were strict on my £3 a day allowance. So I decided to actually take some people up on their offer to pay me to do their hair. So I started to offer my services to my best friends, the people that lived in my apartment building and on my estate, and I was able to make a little bit of money on the side. At the time, I was charging really low prices. I think I charged like £20 for a sew-in, which is the equivalent of like maybe $25, $30. I used to do box sprays for people for like £30, £40, which is about $50, and it was making me a good amount of money at 13, 14 years old. So as soon as I started, as you can imagine, and I was getting paid cash in hand, I realized what my auntie was trying to put me onto, and I wish I had started earlier. My first job ever getting money was being a mobile hairstylist. But as time went on, my parents were definitely firm in letting me know that this isn't something I was going to do forever. I was very strong academically. I had very, very good grades whilst growing up in primary school and into secondary school, and there was no doubt that I had the brain power to become something that they considered prestigious. Now, of course, as a second generation immigrant, you may have heard already, our parents have quite a strict list of the things we can become when we grow up. A doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, an accountant, or some form of scientist. And I didn't want to do any of the above, but because I had a mouth on me and I was very good at English, and I absolutely love to talk, and to be honest, I love to argue, everybody was telling me, especially my mum, become a lawyer. How amazing would it be if you were a barrister? Imagine being a solicitor. And I took them up on their word. Why? Because I thought to myself, it's something that I could do, number one. And number two, it has some prestige to it. And once you do the Google searches, how much does a barrister make? The money was making sense. So when I turned 15 and I was in year 10, I was able to join the government initiative, which was giving 15-year-olds or people in year 10 or 11 work experience in different places. You had to go and find a work placement, and it could be pretty much wherever you want. A lot of my friends went to work in primary schools because they wanted to experience being early teachers. But with my flourishing future law career in mind, I decided that I was going to go and do 2 work experiences across 2 weeks in 2 different places. One was a solicitor's firm and the other was a barrister's chambers. My first week at the barrister's chambers, I actually loved the idea of going out to expensive lunches, but I hated the idea of spending hours and hours and hours in chambers. We actually went to court once and I saw a real life case happen, a case with a woman who had actually smuggled some drugs into the country. And I absolutely loved shadowing the barristers and going to court and seeing real life cases happen. I really hated being a barrister's clerk. That is actually what my daytime role was. I hated it. It was too systematic for me and it was just very boring, but I loved shadowing the barristers and seeing what they did. I think what can be so pressurizing when you are deciding what career to take is the fact that you have to start making these decisions so early in life. Well, it feels like you have to start making these decisions so early in life. For example, I was 15 years old, and whilst I had chosen some subjects that I wanted to get GCSEs in, I was soon going to be faced with the decision of what I wanted to specialize in for my A-levels. Just 3 or 4 subjects that I was going to focus on for the next 2 years that were hopefully going to set me up to do one specializing degree at university. That is an immense amount of pressure. And I knew that I loved creativity, I loved poetry, I loved drawing, I loved music, I loved creating things, and I loved people. But the corporate sector is where the money resides.
And that's on who? The man had a little lamb.
Like I said, the option to be a lawyer, a doctor, an engineer, an accountant were always floating around in my household, and anything outside of that just seemed a bit like a waste of time, or there just wasn't any certainty in how much money that you were going to make. But with my work experience in a barrister's chambers and a solicitor's firm, one of the biggest turn-offs was the lack of diversity. In the barrister's chambers that I was working at, there wasn't a single black barrister in the entire firm, and it really bummed me out. Representation is actually something that's really important, especially when you're looking to aspire to something. Seeing somebody who's from a similar background to you or who looks like you can hugely be a motivating factor. But I think a lot of effort is being made to change this in corporate sectors. For example, let's take the ACCA, the sponsors of today's video. Accountancy and finance can often seem like inaccessible roles when you come from a certain class background. But ACCA is supporting inclusion across these professions, meaning that anyone from any background with the drive and the ability can land themselves a job with a top employer in the fields of accountancy, finance, business, and so many more. I've discussed this before in the To My Sisters podcast, but being from a low socioeconomic background and then finding myself at Cambridge University, it was crazy the amount of emphasis or how normal it was to end up in the corporate world or in the corporate sector. But I often felt like it was just inaccessible to me, the language, the processes, and even just the ability to qualify to be in those industries. As a business owner now, I can tell you for free, one of the most important people in my life is my accountant. And I know that the amount of money that they make is life-changing. So if accounting, business, or finance have ever crossed your mind, definitely check out the ACCA qualification. I will leave the information down in the description box below. Click on it, read it, and see if it's something that will be for you. You never know. So after my work experience at the barristers' chambers and the solicitors firm, I decided that law wasn't really for me. I picked subjects for A-levels which I actually liked. I actually studied English literature, history, sociology, and I took maths as well, just to have a strong subject so I could get into a Russell Group university. A Russell Group university here in the UK is similar to Ivy League universities in the US. They're just prestigious universities that are a part of this elite group, and I wanted to go to one of those universities, so I picked strong subjects but also subjects that I enjoyed. So the summer after I did my GCSE exams and before I did my A-levels was very eventful. Of course, I had been doing hair as a side hustle here and there, but it was the longest summer holiday I ever had and I was living my absolute best life. I actually got into a relationship that summer. I'm gonna put the story time right there so you can really see what happened to me and what transpired during that time. But after the ordeal that I explained in this story time, I remember my sister wanted to get some braids done, and of course I said I would do them for her. We both went to the hair shop to go and buy some braiding hair, and when I walked in, the guy at the till asked me, "Have you got somebody to do your hair?" And I told him, actually I do hair. I do my own hair and I'm about to go and do my sister's hair. Then I get a tap on the shoulder and this guy is like, "Oh, you do hair?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sir, why are you touching me?" And he was just like, "Actually, I have a salon around the corner and two of my stylists are actually on holiday. I need somebody to come and step in for the next few weeks." And so my response was, "Okay, how much are you paying?" He said, "Here's my number, call me." And at the end of the day, he told me that I basically had two options. Number one, I could pay him £250 a week to rent my chair and keep all the money that I made from any client's hair that I did whilst in the salon. I didn't have £250 a week. I didn't have £250 to my name. So that wasn't an option. The other option was I split everything I make with him 60-40. I make 60%, he makes 40%. Now those ratios are crazy. The percentage that he was taking from me was insane. But in my head, it meant that I had a free space to do hair and I didn't have to travel around going to people's houses anymore. Instead, I could actually work from one place, keep my stuff in one place, and I had a job for the summer. So I took the offer and I ended up working there all summer long till I started my A-levels. And I remember my first month, I took home cash money. I made £1,000. As a 16-year-old hairstylist, that was a lot of money. I had £1,000 in cash that I took home with me at the end of the month. I had given him his share and it just made sense. So I ended up working there actually on and off part-time for the next 2 years. I was really good at my job. My boss actually really liked me, and so I ended up getting the opportunity to work there. Even when I wasn't working there, there was always a free chair for me. The stylists that I worked with were absolutely amazing. They actually changed my life. They taught me so much. Lisa and Vicky, they were fantastic, two Jamaican ladies. It was pure vibes when we were there. I loved working in a salon. The conversation and the chats were so juicy. The people that you got to meet were absolutely fascinating, and you got to make them feel good when they, you know, left the salon. It was actually half salon, half barbers, so the banter between the boys and the girls was fantastic. But I loved every single moment of working there, so I actually decided to work part-time whilst I was doing my A-levels because I didn't want to lose my spot and have to go back to being a mobile hairstylist. So for the next 2 years, I was working part-time as a hairstylist at a salon. So after 2 years of working at that salon, I was about to go off to university and I had to say goodbye to everybody. But the summer before university started, my sister actually came to me and she said she had done her hair at this really upscale salon that wasn't too far from my house. She absolutely loved it, and she overheard that they were looking for somebody to come in and do braids and wigs for them. She thought I'd be the perfect person. I was 18 at the time. I had just turned 18. So I called up the salon, told them my experience, and they gave me the job right away. This is something that is a recurring theme in my life. So they gave me the job right away and I started working there, and I thought, oh, this salon is gonna be great. And it was. I met a different sort of clientele. They did hair very differently there, you know, silk presses, doing like natural hair treatment, and also it had like a higher scale clientele, and it was just a different level of service. I mean, like, you come in, we serve you like coffee, champagne, all of that sort of stuff. Like, we had a Prosecco day. Yeah, it was one of them ones, and I absolutely loved it there. But I thought it was gonna pay more because the prices were more. I mean, let me just say, when I did braids, I would do braids on one client and we would charge them £180. Yeah, it was an upscale salon. But I was only getting paid £40 a day. Yeah. That was my cap. I was on £40 a day, and I guess it was just because I was young. I guess it was, they were kind of treating me like an intern, even though I was like doing clients just by myself. So it wasn't the best of experiences money-wise, but it has definitely taught me a lot in terms of customer service, being able to be confident in how much you charge, being able to offer a high-end service that people leave really satisfied with, and then how to build a loyal clientele. It was a very different experience to the first salon that I worked in. Of course, both had their pros and cons, but I would never change it for anything in the world. But of course, with such a low paycheck, I only stayed there for 6 weeks. I did it for 6 weeks and I got paid £40 a day. I only worked 4 days a week, so that's £160 a week. That is very, very, very different. And then I went off to university, and when I started my degree, I promised my mum that my only focus would be my degree. I definitely lied, because whilst I was doing my degree across 3 years, I was studying human, social and political sciences, a range of subjects. Go and watch my university experience if you want to know more about it. But whilst I was at uni, I had multiple extracurricular activities, being part of different societies and things like that. And this is where a lot of conversations started happening about going into corporate sectors as a consultant, as a corporate lawyer, in investment banking, in the finance industry. And I decided that I didn't want any of that. I just didn't want it. I was hearing people's experiences of working in those sectors and working crazy hours, crazy shifts, and I just didn't want to do that. I have always been a person who it's not that I love enjoyment, I love enjoyment, but I also don't like to do things I don't like to do, if that makes sense. I want to be passionate about my work. Everyone is different in terms of the things that motivate them. Some people are very highly motivated by money, which I don't think is bad at all. But for me, no matter how much you pay me, well, with its limits, I don't want to work. I don't want to work in things that I'm not passionate about. But I think that also depends on your life goals. So when I was looking at the hours that corporate lawyers worked, or the sort of work that they were occupied with, or even the work of investment bankers, I just thought, this isn't for me. I don't know, whilst I'm smart, I don't know if I have the skill set that is well suited to this. And truly, I don't know if I'll fit in those environments. And whilst that is a mentality that I wouldn't recommend everybody to have, it is definitely what I was thinking. I didn't want to work in the corporate world, but of course I was still thinking very hard about what am I going to do when I graduate. So when I was heading to the end of my first year of university and heading into second year, of course the main thing on everybody's mind was summer vacation schemes, spring weeks, and just generally internship programs. I did not apply for a single corporate internship program. I didn't apply for spring weeks at investment banks. I didn't apply for like summer vac schemes at law firms. I didn't do any of that. I wasn't even interested in the process. But of course the question then became, so sis, what are you actually going to do? Because these things would look really good on your CV. I really prayed hard about it, and an opportunity came through in a newsletter that was actually sent out by the African Caribbean Society, saying that there was a hair company that had just started up that was actually looking for interns. And I was so shocked to see that coming through to my university. However, they were a startup with funding, who had been backed by investors, who was looking to really be disruptive in the hair space. And of course, all my work experience up until that point and all my interest had pointed in the direction of hair and beauty. So I emailed back my CV and applied for their job as a business development intern. And a week later, I had a phone call interview with one of the people who is now, I guess, like a mentor to me, who gave me the job that same week. So that same week, I actually got a job as a business development intern at a hair startup. They're no longer around, but it was absolutely amazing. I was their second hire and I got to work with amazing people. We started off as such a small team, literally starting off the company from scratch. And we were building an e-commerce hair brand. And the reason why I absolutely loved that internship at the end of my first year was I got to do a lot of things. I got to test hair, I got to organize organize photo shoots, I got to talk to influencers, I got to organize campaigns, I was emailing suppliers looking for packaging, I was part of like logo design processes, I was designing graphics, I was helping with customer service, I was heading up content creation days. It was amazing. It was what I needed. I actually enjoyed being a multi-talented person. I don't like to focus on one thing all the time. I don't just want to be sitting at a desk all day, but also I don't just want to have one niche focus. I was doing video editing, loads of stuff, and if I wanted to try out something, if I wanted to try out marketing, if I wanted to try out customer service, if I wanted to dibble dabble in operations, because it was a startup, I got to do that, and it meant that I learned so much in such a short amount of time about growing a company that experience was invaluable, absolutely invaluable. I was getting paid about £900 a month whilst I was working there. It wasn't the most high paid internship. I knew people who were going on summer vacation schemes at, you know, big investment banks and getting paid like £12,000 for the entire summer. That was not my story. I really wish it was, but I would not have traded that experience for the world. I was actually only meant to work at that hair company for one summer. It was a summer internship, but at the end of the 3 months working there, I guess the company fell in love with me as much as I was in love with the company, and I ended up working there for another 2 years, consulting for them during term time, but working there every holiday that I had. Christmas, Easter, and summer holidays, that's where you would find me sitting at my desk in Victoria. It was an amazing experience, and it honestly has set me up for where it is I am now. So I would definitely recommend, if you're somebody who wants to start a business, definitely find some experience in a company, in a place that is similar to what it is you want to start up, so that you can experiment, so you can see the mistakes, so that you can learn from the processes, and also just so you can get industry insight and some serious experience that would be relevant in whatever you do in the future. So whilst I was working at that company on and off for 2 years while studying, I also started a YouTube channel, and I wanted to include this in this video because it is a huge part of my career journey, because it was giving me money as well. And when you have money, you get the chance to focus on whatever it is that you love. And so I was creating YouTube videos. It was actually another reason why I got my job as a summer intern. But I was creating YouTube videos online here on this channel. I started 5 years ago, the same year that I started working at that hair startup, and YouTube has just been a massive game changer and life-changing thing for me. It was a great expression of my creativity and a great hobby that I started to pay me money. I will do a whole separate video on how to monetize on YouTube to help anybody out who is starting a YouTube channel. But YouTube, in the beginning, payments were definitely slow, but my channel grew really fast. I started at a time where you could start monetizing immediately, so I was making a couple pence, but as my channel was growing, I started to see a bit more money. So I would say on average, about £400 a month, £500 a month, because I was doing hair reviews, and for hair reviews I used to charge £250 at that stage. I think I was on about what, 25,000 subscribers, maybe something like that, and I would charge about £250 for a hair review, and I used to do hair reviews twice a month, and then AdSense would come in, but my AdSense was always like hit and miss. It used to be about maybe like £100 a month, £200 a month, so I was making like a solid £400 to £600 a month from YouTube, along with my £900 a month from my business development internship, and that was fantastic to me because I was still at uni getting student finance and bursary, so I was good. Like, I was good for money, but I was also squandering my money, and when I got to third year, I was broke. If you've listened to the podcast, you know I used to have some reckless spending habits. I was spending like £600-700 a month on clothes, common garments, common clothes, but I've since reformed. And also just with other commitments, I didn't always have a lot of money, and of course during term time I wasn't working at my internship, so I wasn't getting paid from that either. And depending on my workload at the time, sometimes I wouldn't be able to take the normal 2 hair reviews that I would do a month, or sometimes laziness would just creep in and I would miss deadlines and things like that. And I just decided in third year that I was going to focus on finishing my degree and finishing finishing it strong, because yeah, the academic side of things was really tough as well and definitely taking a toll on me. So because of that, I actually decided to implement an old strategy and go back to my hair side hustle. I was making wigs for companies, and I was making wigs obviously for people as well. Back then I was CDB wigs. I was offering wig making services, which I now teach on the CDB Academy if you ever want to learn how to do it. But with that side hustle, I was making upwards of £1,000 a week whilst I was at university. Yes, you heard me right, £1,000 a week. And here's how. In between my lectures, or at the beginning or the end of the day, I would spend 1 or 2 hours working on a wig for somebody, and I used to charge about 70 or 80 pounds to make closure and frontal wigs for people and mail it back to them. They would send me the hair, or I would, you know, get the hair for them, and they would pay me, and I would do that for about 10 people a week. Now, the hair that I used to sell wasn't hair that I had sourced myself. I didn't have time to be talking to suppliers and vendors, but I did, of course, work for a hair company, and my hair company had a stylist program where if you sell hair using your code, you get a commission of how much people spend on whatever bundles or lace system that they buy. And so I was also getting money extra from that. I was actually their highest selling commission person, which was crazy to me, but I guess people trusted my opinion on hair. So in my highest performing weeks, I was making about £1,000 a week. On average, the lowest week would be like £500. That was a low, slow week, or a week where I just wanted to rest up a little bit. And I only did that for a term, because when it got to second and third term, like I said, I wanted to focus on my studies, my exams, getting a good final degree, because only my third year counted towards my grade. So during third year, of course, the main question you ask yourself is, what am I going to do when I finish university? And in all honesty, it was a really hard thing to decide. I prayed about it a lot. I asked for a lot of people's advice, and really there were two options. I had gotten myself to a place where, whilst I didn't have the most savings, I definitely had some money saved up from all the work that I was doing: YouTube AdSense, sponsored videos, working at my internship, making wigs on the side. I had some money that I had saved up, and so I could decide to actually start my own company. However, I also had a job offer from the hair company that I had been working with for the last 2 years to be a creative director, and that was honestly my dream job. I wanted a job that would allow me to express myself creatively, but also to be a part of operations and logistics and to work with numbers, and this job was just giving me all of it, and I wanted to do it. I wanted to do it really bad, and it came with a really good salary for someone who was 21 years old. Whilst it wasn't, you know, a corporate job salary, it was definitely a salary that was great for someone who was working in a creative industry for a startup company. And I decided to decline my job offer, and it was one of the hardest decisions I've ever made in my life, to be 21, to turn down a really, really big annual salary so that I could start my own thing. And it was the best decision I've ever made, for sure, but it was a hard decision at the time, because when I started my hair company, it definitely wasn't booming from the beginning. So after I got my degree, a 2-1 from Cambridge University, I got my first proper job. I delved into the world of self-employment, and I have been doing that for the last 2.5 years. Since July of 2018, I have been self-employed, working on my own things. I have been working on the Create and Define beauty company for the majority of that, which is my hair company. For me, having worked in the hair industry for so long in different positions, I have worked in offices working with influencers and massive campaign budgets to promote hair, but I have also stood behind a chair doing braids, doing weaves, prodding myself in the finger, getting people's hair looking good. And across all of those experiences, and of course being a consumer of hair myself, there were some things that I still couldn't believe were so difficult, like getting good hair quickly, receiving good customer service that you were happy with, and I wanted to produce that. I wanted to make hair easy, and that's what I've been doing for the last 2 years. Thank you to every single person who has bought from us, supported supported us, you know, bought a wig from us, bought hair from us. I genuinely appreciate you so much, because you've allowed me to work on my dream, to work on doing something that I'm really passionate about, and like I desired in the first place, you know, to be creative but also to be systematic and to build something from the ground up and be a part of the entire process, not just a part of the entire process, to be in the entire process, has been an eye-opening journey for the last 2 years, and I can't wait to see what the future has in store. I could also say that I was a YouTuber over the last 2 years, but honestly and truly, let's just leave that out, because I definitely wasn't consistent. That's all changing now. So my current job is as an entrepreneur. That's literally it. I am a founder of a company and I run that on the day-to-day, but I'm also a content creator. I do YouTube on the side. So in terms of how much I make a month, my company makes a range of about £7,000 to £11,000 a month. It's a wide range, but of course peaks, troughs, all of that. But yeah, we make quite a bit. It's a 6-figure company. And I'm super proud of myself and my team to have got it to this point. And also I'm super thankful for everybody who has bought. Without that, like, the company really isn't much. Whilst my company makes 6 figures a year, I don't take all of that with me. I have a team that I pay, space that I pay for, inventory to buy, taxes to pay. So I actually take a salary from my company, which is around £2,500 a month. But also from YouTube, I still receive AdSense checks, whether I upload a video or not. Of course, people are still watching the catalogue of content that I still have on my channel, and I'm glad that it's still helping you guys even years after it's, you know, been made. I'm glad it's still making you laugh, it's still giving you wisdom, and it's helping you still be a part of this community. This channel is still growing, and despite, you know, all my inconsistency that really could have held it back, or probably has held it back, but I can't wait to just focus on growing a community on here and sharing with you my knowledge as well. But down to the nitty-gritty, this channel, I still do sponsored content on Instagram, on YouTube, for companies that I really like and products that I really like, as well as getting like affiliate commissions from link clicks and things like that. So the amount of money I make from YouTube really depends. So for example, 2019, when I barely uploaded, my AdSense check was usually about £100 a month. That was from no new content going out, just residual income coming in from people watching my old videos. So now that I do content creation and, you know, I'm a bit more consistent, I combine all the money that I'm making from all the things I listed before, sponsored content, affiliate links, I make between £1,000 to £3,000. But I hope that that has helped you get insight into the experience that has led me up to where it is I want to be. I think a lot of you saw how much I had made last year, or, you know, at points of last year, and may have, you know, been wondering how was I able to do that, whether you consider me young or old, whether you consider it a lot of money or not. I think that there is a lot of opportunity to carve out the life that you want, but I think those things come with intentionality, and starting off early and being diligent in whatever craft or skill that you have. For me, it was hair, and being creative in terms of being able to, you know, create videos, create pictures, and for you it could be something completely different, but the possibilities are really endless. And I hope that as I create more content, I can create things that can help you get insight into how you can monetize your skill. I am super glad for all the experiences and the opportunities that have brought me this far, but there are so many options out there and you should definitely explore yours. If you've ever thought about accountancy, finance, or even business, which is what I'm in, definitely have a look at the ACCA qualification. I will leave all the information down below in the description box for you to check it out. Have a read of it and see if it is for you. And last bit of advice is, don't be like me. Don't ever doubt if you belong in certain places that you want to go into. If you have the interest, if you have the ability, you belong there. So that has been my career journey and job history. It definitely hasn't been straightforward. It definitely has not been easy, but I hope it has given you insight into the possibilities that may be open to you, but also insight into how I make the money that I make, and what it is that I do. Hopefully it's been inspiring, and I wish you all the success in anything that you do. Comment down below if ACCA is something you've ever done before, or if it's something you're interested in doing or have ever considered doing, or share your career journey down below, or any questions you may have. Are you stuck? Do you not know what to do for your next step? Let me know down below and let's have a conversation. Thank you so much to ACCA for sponsoring this video and allowing me to bring you more resources, but also create more content. I will see you guys in my next video, and as always, stay beautiful and stay blessed. Mwah.